Hey, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. There must be something wrong
with me.
Because by golly fucking gee, they did it. While I was working on my Daredevil Born Again video that will probably be over an hour long and is 20,000 fucking words, I decided to go see Thunderbolts. Listen, I was excited for Thunderbolts asterisk, not because I was necessarily invested in the story of Yelena or John Walker even, not because I remembered anything about Ghost from the hit film Ant-Man and the Wasp, but because from the first teaser all the way back when, Thunderbolts felt different. Felt like there was a chance, a slim, slight chance, that these characters were niche enough, undervalued enough that Marvel might actually let a filmmaker cook, might actually let them chef up a real meal instead of mass-produced slim portion slop. And plus, the filmmakers, the storytellers behind it were next level, man! I absolutely love Netflix's Beef. I cried, I laughed, I cried again, which Jake Schreier was the main director behind. And as I've probably offhandedly mentioned way too many times, The Bear is in my top 3 favorite TV shows fucking ever, dude, and Joanna Callow, among her many brilliant episodes, wrote the show's best. Fishes. If you haven't seen Fishes or Season 3's Ice Chips, which she also wrote, or if you haven't seen The Bear, stop this video, go watch The Bear. Right? Her writing is probably the best depiction of a borderline personality disorder, possible bipolar mom that I have ever seen.
Do I not look okay?
It hit way too close to home, man, and made me uncomfortable in the rawest of ways. Joanna Callow also happens to be the writer behind Thunderbolts. Which was just insane to me, and almost a statement on what Marvel might be trying to do with the Thunderbolts. Could Thunderbolts be a real movie? Fuck you! And listen, I'm not one of those fucks who thinks cape shit isn't real art, isn't real cinema. I'm an even worse asshat who believes that only some of them, those that are given enough creative freedom, those that let the artist play with the IP toys in ways we haven't seen before, are quote-unquote real movies. Basically, you give me something that feels like a product meant to sell toys, and I will view you as a product meant to sell toys and tickets to Mouseland. If you hide the corporate nature of intellectual property behind a story in a film that is trying to say something about humanity, trying to make you and me feel real, tangible emotions, trying to make you inspired to dream, to create, then of course it's a real damn movie. Point is, perhaps the declining Rotten Tomatoes score got to Kevin and company, or perhaps even they were noticing that the voices, the artists behind those billion-dollar franchises were having their colors muted, their palette mangled. Perhaps they were noticing that even the most casual of audience member was starting to disconnect from the universe and characters that once had us all in a chokehold. Perhaps much like the arc of the Thunderbolts, Marvel felt like they were in a rut, clocking in day after day, yet feeling like there is no spark. Feeling like they are stuck in the multiverse void alongside an audience who hasn't been caring nearly as much as they used to. Perhaps all this led to a movie that recaptures the magic of the golden days. A movie that is the breath of fresh air the franchise desperately needed. A movie where you can finally feel the pulse of the storytellers behind it. Perhaps Marvel's acknowledgement of their too frequent emptiness led to a film as soulful as But before we get into it, you know what else feels personally crafted and made by a team of artists who give a shit? This awesome watch I got a few months back from Holzkern. You may have remembered my glowing endorsement from last year, but did you know that I've worn this watch and this ring and this necklace pretty much every day since receiving them? No joke, they've become a HiTop signature combo, a signature part of my style. If you didn't know, Holzkern is a watch and jewelry brand for both men and women. All of their products are made from all natural materials, from your favorite gemstones to the most beautiful of woods. Each product is damn unique and damn high quality. I wasn't joking before. I had forgotten to take these accessories off before bed, before the shower, and during a hurricane so many times it's embarrassing, and they have not rusted or shown any wear and tear in the months I've owned them. Made and manufactured in small quantities to ensure responsible and ethical production with free express shipping worldwide from beautiful Vienna, there's no reason not to give their products a try. Hell, my guy, they even pay the customs fee, offer a 2-year guarantee, and you can get their products within 2 to 5 days. What more could you want? A discount? Well, use my code HiTop to get 15% off site-wide. Mother's Day is right around the corner. I know you forgot, I forgot, and Holzkern will provide something personal, memorable, and damn near iconic. Thanks, guys. Right off the bat, of course I was going to be on board with any movie that opens with a monologue about how depressed and monotonous the lead character's life has been recently. Of course I was going to be so hyped that while said monologue was being spoken, you were getting insane practical stunts, you were getting a better hallway fight long take than Daredevil has had in over a decade. A fight where every single punch, kick, and throw into glass, rubble, and steel felt visceral, violent, and powerful. Right off the bat, this is the kind of thing I've been asking for, whining about like a scratched, broken record with a big nose. But come on, man, it's not hard to get me and that honker of mine on board. Just give me shots with purpose and texture, writing with punch and grit, and no obvious green screen reshoots for 10 minutes, and I'm willing to forgive a lot. Now, do I think Thunderbolts is the best MCU movie ever made? No. Do I think it's a perfect masterpiece, a beautiful lie, not an MCU movie, broke me? No. But do I think Thunderbolts recaptures the magic of the early years, the magic of going to the theater and watching a Marvel movie that makes you feel a range of emotions? That has comedy that isn't just a self-referential pause for studio applause memes that undermine the sincerity.
I do not want another single pop culture reference out of you for the rest of the trip, you understand?
That has sincerity to begin with. That has actual character writing where flawed individuals come together to be better than their individual pain. Fuck yeah, I do, my dude. I do think Thunderbolts might just have the best action design and execution since, I don't know, Winter Soldier?
Earn your money. Cash the check.
And I'm not just talking about the cool showcases of practicality. Not talking about the goosebumps on my arm when Bucky rolled up in the desert, finally freeing himself from the shackles of being a sad, stoic, bored out of his mind congressman. Not just talking about how dope that felt because the practical craft behind it gave it so much sauce. I think it's because for the first time in a minute, I felt the impact of superpowered beings. When you spend so much time in space with characters crashing into red planets, shooting repulsor rays into alien creatures, it's hard to create that sense of genuine impact. If everything in a sense is animated, designed by artists in post with the goal of replicating real-life physics while also being otherworldly and comic booky, the power of a punch gets diminished. I feel like this is the best example I can give. Compare the way Iron Man punching and firing his beams felt in 2008 when he was taking down real people, to the way it feels when he's going against a bunch of Thanos goons. To me, one feels raw, one makes the suit of armor and the character feel powerful. The other, while cool and fun, lacks that visceral violence. Thunderbolts aims and succeeds to make us feel all of its violence, feel the strength of all these super soldiers and sentries. So many great moments that blend visual effects artistry with that much needed practicality. When Sentry is first showcased, unleashed, and every one of these misfits is coming at him hard, and he's just bouncing them around the room. It's the first time he's revealed. He doesn't know how to fight whatsoever. He doesn't even know what he's fighting for, but the way in which he tosses Yelena up and down, left, right, while the camera doesn't cut, the way the team of super soldiers goes fucking crashing into the walls of Avengers Tower, practical rubble and stunt work bookending each moment. It's such a simple setup, but within that simplicity, Bob's power felt scary. Within like 3 minutes, you realize the kind of damage he can cause, the kind of pain he can inflict without breaking a sweat. It's just good design, good fucking direction. The movie is full of that, simple yet ultra effective direction and design. It's nothing groundbreaking, game-changing, but when we are so very used to action set in literal empty voids where digital doubles bounce around each other, so used to superheroes blasting each other through empty space and being overwhelmed by armies of gray muck, Thunderbolts grounds the action and makes these guys feel physically at risk, makes them feel as human as ever. I mean, it takes them 20 minutes to climb an elevator shaft, and by the end of it, they are stressed, exhausted by the absurdity. It's perfect. These characters get bent shields and bigger bruises. They take a minute to recover instead of leaping right back into the action. They duck and cover from gunfire because they've seen what a bullet to the face will do. Like I said, all this sounds like the standard, but it's not. The power of violence, the exhaustion it causes, the damage both external and internal is felt. And it needed to be, because these people use their violence as an outlet for their pain. They are not perfectly fucking functioning individuals who can express their inner torment. In fact, that's Thunderbolt's greatest strength. A lot of cape shit, arguably the best cape cinema, is about the hero's pain, is about how they try to channel that pain into something that can save and heal the innocent. But there has never ever been a Marvel movie that is very directly, literally about physically confronting that driving, all too defining isolation. I cried, yeah, man, like twice. Which, if you know me, I always be crying. But I've lost so much faith in the emotional value of these films outside the Guardians franchise. Most of these movies post-Infinity War, they leave me feeling numb. Even if the emotional strings start playing, even if the actors are giving it their all, I find myself, much like Yelena, empty. I think that has to do with how frequently these newer films undervalue their characters. What do I mean by that? I mean they don't trust them to make us feel, and they don't trust us to not call it cringe when they do. So they, Marvel themselves, will call their own characters cringe and weightless, funny guys, so on the off chance you felt that way, they are ahead of the joke. Thunderbolts switches this up. Thunderbolts treats the audience like adults and not brain-rotted consumers who need the film to pause to tell you something is funny.
Time travel! What?
That needs to stop for you to have a chuckle when shit is getting too real. Thunderbolts dedicates itself to having emotional weight, to literally taking characters that were often used for a chuckle or often not given nearly enough pathos, and spends its runtime filling them up with soul. These guys are the most fleshed out and well-written leads in one of these since the Guardians. They have an arc, a collective arc, that is given weight and not undercut by that humor we've all grown far too tired of. And dude, I'm going off script here, but I hate the fact that it's impressive for characters to have an arc that resonates in a Marvel movie, to have an arc that doesn't just undermine the previous movies, the previous stories told. This should be the norm, dude, not the anomaly, not the fucking incursion, and hopefully the rave reviews make the shareholders fucking realize this, because holy hell. Anyways, Thunderbolts is funny as hell. Genuinely funny, not like fucking dumb funny.
Damn.
Because Joanna and Jake can write and direct comedy in a way that is natural. It's in-character comedy. It's not taking a cool character and dumbing them down for a joke. It's not sitcom pausing. It's rhythmic bantering from a bunch of a-holes who can use their quick wit to cover up their broken hearts. It's crazy to me that I ended up feeling so much for all these guys. I mean, I already loved how twisted John Walker's story was in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and of course, I love Bucky. We stay loving Bucky in this fucking house.
That's what they talk about!
But other than those guys, let me tell you, I got blackout COVID drunk watching Black Widow and don't remember much of it, so Yelena and Red Guardian were not characters I walked into the theater invested in. But now, Yelena and her relationship with Alexei is the beating, bleeding heart of the modern MCU for me. And I frankly do not remember a single thing about Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp. And I made a video about that movie. But now I am deeply excited to see more of Ava. I even want to go back and watch Ant-Man and the Wasp just to see more of her spunk, her story, which is something I swore to Matt Murdock I'd never do. And dude, I knew barely anything about Sentry going in. I don't think I've read a single Sentry comic book.
Fuck you.
And genuinely, I can't wait to see where they take Bob. And that's all due to just how solid and tight the script is. I mean, this is kind of a one-day movie for the most part, and I love one-day movies. The events take place in a very short amount of time, and I love narratives like that. I love forcing characters together, never separating them, and seeing that dynamic grow. And of course, Joanna can write that because my two favorite episodes of The Bear I mentioned earlier are literally one location sit-downs where so much pain and tragedy is unearthed through dialogue that always hooks you.
Okay, you got everyone's attention, so go ahead and tell us a story we've all heard a million times already.
Bunch of clowns.
I love how sincere this movie is. I love how after we get through the first team interaction of expository backstory dropping, which is still done with some panache, there are a lot of very emotional moments played solely through the way one character looks at another. When Bucky straight up destroys John Walker by reminding him that his wife left and took the baby, Yelena glances at him, not with a "you lied to us, you prick,"
I understand that!
but with this look of like pure, compassionate understanding. This explains why he's been such a dick the whole movie. This explains why he feels the need to be so cocky, because he feels so powerless, so weak, like such a failure. He is like me and I am like him. And guess what? It's given weight, given room to breathe. We don't cut right away. We linger in that feeling. I love that Thunderbolts isn't afraid to make you uncomfortable like so many other Marvel flicks. Bob's story would not hit unless the movie had the balls to show you how abused he was as a child. None of the emotions would hit. None of the characters would work if the movie did not have the resolve to let you feel the impact of a defenseless little boy getting smacked across the face. The pain of Yelena covering her inner child's ears to avoid the sound of the crack of a whip. If the screams of John's neglected child did not haunt your ears after the crying had stopped. And yeah, this isn't Daredevil, OG Daredevil. This isn't an R-rated, uncompromised look at pain and abuse, but it's a damn surprise for a Marvel movie to let these very real things be given the weight and truth they deserve. I love the implications of Sentry. Val wants to take someone's pain and manufacture a hero. Blonde-haired Superman with a tragic backstory. She wants to appropriate Bob's trauma, use it for political power, for gain, without giving him any help, any healing. I think, and I could be reaching here, this is also a statement on the Marvel films that do not work, that takes a tried and true story of a suffering individual who learns heroism through past pain, and then contorts that trauma to fit the need of the shareholders, the need of the consumer, without exploring the human's pain behind the costume, without any genuine insight or weight, creating an all-consuming darkness that sucks everyone watching into a void of endless suffering, forced to relive these moments on loop without ever giving them the chance to change it. Forced to remain in the emptiness. And you probably assumed I'd bring this up if you know my usual whines and rambles, but holy hell, it felt so good to see a team of anti-heroes, superheroes save people. Not fight the bad guy, not destroy the giant alien ship in the sky, but being on the ground rescuing everyday men and women. Why does that feel so fresh to me? Why does it make me emotional? Having these guys on the streets of New York risking their lives to save the people. I guess the scale has gotten so large for so many of these movies, it's always about saving the universe, the multiverse, fighting the ultimate evil, that by dialing it back to the core nature of the superhero, it fills me with a hope. I love the callbacks to the first Avengers film. I love that the messy versions of Natasha and Steve do this same move. This whole sequence is a scrappy version of the Avengers' final battle, the Battle of New York, and that's very deliberate. Not just because they will become the new Avengers in name. It's because none of these guys are flying in the sky. They are all on the ground with the individual. They are all scared of the same threat, looking up, feeling so small, just as we all would. They are in the streets with us. I love how you might think that that battle might be the end of it, that they have grown together, they are going to save others because they cannot fully save themselves, they cannot push the boulder, lift the rubble, escape the pain alone, only together. In the standard story, that would be the case, but instead we end up in their heads, we end up stepping into their darkness, their rooms of regret, solitudes of shame. I love how a drunk, passed out Yelena tries to force booze down present-day Yelena's throat so ragefully, angrily, almost as if her projection of her past self is trying to show her what she did and how much it hurt. I love how one of the main ways they transport between these rooms of trauma is through looking in a mirror. It's just designed and executed so well. I love how Bob is sitting like a child upstairs trying to hide from the abuse that happens between the cracks. I love how Yelena sits with him, and of course I love how the entire thing culminates in the team of newly found family empathizing with the bad guy to save the world. I love how hard Bob hits himself, continues to hurt himself, beating his dark side, his depression over and over. The sound mix was so loud in my theater, so impactful. I love how that makes everything worse. I love how the only thing that stops the pain, the darkness from becoming all-consuming is a group hug. A large embrace of people who don't hug, people who have trouble expressing, trouble asking for comfort. That's what puts the pain away. That's what allows a moment of calm, of light. Similar to my favorite moment in the MCU, where the Guardians had to share their pain to save the world, the Thunderbolts moment hits just as hard. Never gone, never fully cured, always there. Power can come from the pain, but it can also come from community, from vulnerability, from love. God damn, I love feeling things. I love when Marvel stops handcuffing and nostalgia baiting and lets me feel things. It's a special thing, man. Reminds me of when I was 13 years old watching Guardians of the Galaxy with my old man in a shitty rundown Regal theater somewhere in the middle of Ohio. Or when I saw Captain America, the first Avenger, 5 fucking times in the theater like the mop-headed shameless fanboy I was. I think the misconception about me that I play into way too often is that I want to hate. I want to be cynical. I want to find any excuse to criticize the mouse. And that's mostly just not true. Sure, it's fun to write hyperbolic rambles, but it's more fun to genuinely care. I want to be excited and not full of dread that a director I like is working on a Marvel project. Excited that they are going to be able to create in a sandbox full of toys and not dread the fact that their vision will be snuffed out. I mean, dude, how fucking ridiculous is it that the most surprising thing Marvel could do at this point was allow a filmmaker to make a movie?
Thank God.
The most surprising piece of marketing they could come up with is a trailer that all but screams that this one will be a real movie made by real artists, made by real storytellers. Like, how insane is that? I feel like I'm going crazy. Think about that for a second. What does that say about their other movies? Is that the company poking fun at the fact that their films often feel voiceless, craftless? Is that something to poke fun at? You know, bro, sorry, the many films we spent billions of dollars making felt like soulless slop. Sorry, we seldomly talk about the importance of the director behind the camera, the editors, the writers, the craft. Sorry, we acted like that. Sorry that we acted like the artist doesn't matter so many times. I mean, like, how fucking ridiculous is that? I feel like I'm going crazy. That the entire Thunderbolts marketing draw is that this movie has practical effects, this movie has a great writer, a great director, this movie is an actual fucking film. It's wild. It's insane. I've lost the plot. How far they've fallen. I mean, this was a company that once took a chance and a risk by letting Jon Favreau and RDJ improv their way into a billion-dollar franchise with a comic book C-tier character front and center. This is a studio that once had all of our younger selves in the palms of their infinity gauntlet, anxiously awaiting where the characters would go. And it makes me so sad that the biggest swing they could now take is telling a story that has meaning, that's executed with craft and passion. Sure, money talks. Deadpool and Wolverine was the biggest box office hit like ever. Everyone said Marvel is back, baby. But to me, I was left feeling numb, empty, the usual. I don't want to continue to see the characters that I once loved to be shoved into comedic multiverse shenanigans. I want to fall in love with new characters. I want to discover and uncover the depth behind them. The best thing I can say about Thunderbolts is that I cared. I genuinely gave a shit. I'm not a Marvel hater by nature, quite the opposite in fact. I just hate when artists get their movies ruined, twisted, mutilated out of fear and hate the love of superheroes being used as a cover. In fact, I'm a Marvel lover when they support the artist. The first Iron Man, the first Thor, Captain America 1, 2, 3, Guardians 1, 2, 3. I could go on and on. Seen a lot of quotes. Marvel is back, baby. Marvel isn't back, baby. It never left. It will always be here, and that sentiment is honestly the fucking problem. It feels like Marvel is back because they hired a good filmmaker, because they let him make a movie that he wanted to make. It feels like it's back because they trusted a brilliant writer with their characters. It's not about the brand. It never has been, never will be. It's about the artists they bring on board. I will be seated for Avengers Doomsday. Fuck. Not just because they are bringing back the fucking Bryan Singer X-Men, not because Robert Downey Jr. is playing Doctor Doom, not because all of the fanboy bait we will keep falling for, but because I genuinely want to see where Yelena, John, Ava, Alexi, Bucky, and Bob end up next. This team of losers felt like people in a universe that has grown to lack so much humanity. The last line of Thunderbolts is Yelena whispering in the corporate overlord's ear, "We own you. You don't own us. You don't own our pain. You need us more than we will ever need you." The characters will always be more important than the brand. The artist will always be more important than the franchise. The tortured sister, the tormented partner, the twisted replications of the legend and one of S.H.I.E.L.D's many victims. These guys are the perfect new Avengers. for what I hope will be a new era. They are flawed, they are in pain, they are characters that have a lot of growing, healing to do, just as the original Avengers team once did. Let's just hope Marvel makes the hard choice and lets them. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching the video. This was a quick one. I busted out in like 3 days, but let me know. Let me know what you thought. I had fun doing this one. Anyways, guys, thank you so much. Jason updates all on the Patreon. So basically on Patreon, every week we're doing a little bit of a Jason behind the scenes thing, a Jason little preview, Jason little thing. All of you have been like, where's the movie? Where's the movie? And the problem is that I have to make videos and do the movie, and it's a lot. I'm sorry. Okay, anyways, guys, seriously, I hope you had a great time watching Thunderbolts. I hope you enjoyed the film. If you didn't, let me know why you didn't. And of course, as always, have a lovely, lovely, lovely day.